All right, and welcome to our Wednesday workshop for the Cowles County Board of Commissioners. Was it yesterday morning that I actually said council?
You did.
Yeah, I'm a big.
You did.
I didn't do that today. Thank goodness. This is our first Wednesday evening workshop. We co-hosted with the Board of Health. We normally have Wednesday afternoons scheduled for workshops, and at least once a month, we want to make it available to the public in the evening hours. And so that's kind of the first time we did that. And we thought, well, for our first meeting, let's make sure it deals with public health things. So at this point, we don't have anything else on the printed agenda. Oh,
We do?
He's at home.
It was WASAC Hot Topics.
No, we're gonna do that next week because of Board of Health tonight.
All right. So I think, Mike, you requested time, so come on up. Sorry for the confusion. Every time we change routines, it takes a little while to get used to it.
I'm glad you showed up, Mike, because you wanted this evening, really.
Thank you so much for reconfiguring and reconvening as the Board of Commissioners, and thank you to the Board of Commission for considering and trying out an evening meeting. I think it's great to make more availability for the commission to the public. So I commend you for that. My comment this evening, I'm just following up on an item I had brought to the commission in the past related to the Sixth Amendment and our public defender office. So back in January 17th, the public defender's office brought forward 4 contracts for contract attorneys to provide public defender services. I believe that there was an urgent need for those services at the time. But unfortunately, the commission did not execute those contracts. There was a concern raised at that meeting by one of the commissioners stating that the contract would have to pay someone that went on vacation for a year and didn't provide any services. Was, I think, a hypothetical scenario that was offered. That's not actually a problem with the contracts. The contracts state that the county would only have to pay if there were less than 120 cases seen by someone if the attorney, through no fault of their own, was not assigned those 120 cases. So the scenario that proposed was not a reason that would be that the county would have to pay for those contracts. And I believe that the public defender, the director of that office, also stated that the individuals that the contracts were offered to were known to the public defender's office. There had been some sort of established relationship where they were familiar with them and there were no concerns about their ability to work with the county and provide those services. So it seems rather unfortunate that it has now been well over a month, getting close to 2 months since those contracts for needed public defender services first came before the board. When you look at those contracts, it states sort of an estimate of how many cases those attorneys would be assigned each month. So those 4 attorneys would take on probably about 35 cases total each month. So it seems possible that the county, by not taking action on that contract, has caused confusion and delay, and that 70 people have not had access to a public defender because the contracts haven't been executed. When I brought this to the commission to ask, what was going on with the contract, why didn't it come back when I think that contract was tabled from the 17th to the 31st, and there was no discussion of it. It wasn't on the agenda on the 31st. It has not been, it was on a recent agenda just to say, we're still trying to get the contract before us again. So I'm just coming back to say, what's the status of that? If the contract was ready to go in January and there's not actually a legal concern, could we just bring the contracts back and sign them, please, so people can have their public defenders?
We
I
we
thought
reached out to Ian, and it's mainly in his court. He said that the section we had an issue with, he made a couple changes and he's ready. He just hadn't brought him back over. They haven't stopped defending anybody. So in fact, he was in the office today and was talking with him today, and he just hasn't, I guess he hasn't felt the same urgency that you do. We should have reached out earlier, no doubt about that, from when we changed it from the 1 week to the next. But then we did right after that when it was brought to our attention, and he says, "Oh, I'm about ready to go." He said, and it really was kind of on him. So we're ready to look at it anytime he wants to bring it over.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that. From when I looked at the initial meeting on the 17th, it did seem like he had a pretty strong sense of urgency. He stepped out of court to participate in the commission meeting and respond to the questions that were raised. He indicated a couple times in that meeting that this was really important to him, and he tried to ask to put it for the commission even sooner than the 31st. So I don't know what happened but it seems like there was some sort of communication breakdown. I'm glad to hear he's got it ready, and it's just a matter of getting it back on the agenda. But if the county needed that capacity and has not had it for several months now, I just think that's an issue that someone should be paying more close attention to.
The word emergency gets thrown out way too often, and sometimes it's not truly an emergency. I actually also had an occasion to visit with him, and he had other more important issues.
Okay.
People who've actually left the office and, shorthanded it for different reasons, and we're trying to work on that as well. And I asked him about, are we at risk of being sanctioned? Because that's the big fear. And he said, no, I think he's based on the workload. It's not getting to that point. You think he's managing it. So.
Well, I'm glad to hear it's being managed,
We've
and
looked at it.
I just think it would be great for our county to have those services of those attorneys as soon as possible. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for bringing it up. Anything else, Tim?
What are you guys using the workshop? I haven't been to the workshop part yet.
Well, often it deals with a particular theme. So a department will have a project, IT project will come, and we'll get into a little more into the details.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, a lot of times the items you see on Tuesday agendas have been workshopped before. So a lot of times those come up before and you get a chance to look at them.
There's kind of a operating procedure not to bring surprises to the commission, so that we have our chance to ask questions, and we ask questions during the meetings as well.
Yeah.
So
Well, I like to switch to the evening. It makes it easier for me. So number one, right? Yeah. One in the book.
Yep. All right. Mr. Farrell.
I guess since I'm here. On the earlier comments about TikTok, I can tell you on the news tonight before I came here while I was trying to wolf down my dinner. There is quite a bit of concern about TikTok, and that the fact that that Chinese app, that they can monitor not only everything that you are watching, there's a lot of very serious negative influence on the kids that are serious health issues that they're concerned about. And they're talking about, first of all, eliminating TikTok on all government computers, laptops, phones, anything it's government, making sure that TikTok's not on there. Not only can they monitor what you're doing, but they can actually access any and all information that is on that device if you have the app on that device. And on a national level, they're talking about, if not banning it nationwide, they're talking about at least banning it for kids under the age of 16. And trying to figure out how to be able to monitor the age level of who's got their hands on the device. Because it is a serious health threat to the kids. When this first came up, I was stunned when it first came around and they were talking about it. Now the Biden administration is actually talking about putting back in place the Trump prohibitions for all the federal devices and stuff that he had originally put in place that Biden threw out the day he got in office. So that's kind of a reversal at that point. Anyway, TikTok's not a good thing.
Well, I'm not,
So we do have a hand up and it says Public Campbell, and I'm assuming that's Lindy. Lindy, are you on?
Hey Dennis, it's actually Bailey. I don't know why it's not Public Campbell.
I can't hear you. Say that again.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit better.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, very good. Okay, thank you.
Okay, this is Bailey. I don't know why it's
Oh.
popping up as Public Campbell,
Oh. it's
but I just wanted
Bailey
to
up in our
provide,
staff.
I know that Lindy raised the concern about TikTok, and I just wanted to let the public know that the county does not have any TikTok social media accounts, because that's what Lindy was saying, county devices. So the county does not have any TikTok social media accounts because I manage all the social media accounts.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Good to know. The county doesn't have
So
it.
the issue, it brings up an interesting issue, though, about regulating what kids see.
Right.
And the assumption that government has the right to interfere in the parenting of kids. And where do you draw the line? You know, for those of a liberal persuasion, absolutely, the government needs to regulate because the government knows best. Conservatives ought to have real reluctance to saying, yeah, let the government restrict here because they have a hard time drawing a line in the sand.
Well, do
Give
you
them
agree with
power to
regulating alcohol or tobacco from kids? I mean,
And those are state regulations. Again, this is,
yeah,
should it
do
be
you-
closer? If you're
okay.
talking about moderating family life, isn't it better to be done community-wide? I mean, I'm throwing that out, just that it's an
Right.
interesting thought because, to me, the lazy solution is let the federal government regulate everything. And I'm
I
I'm
hate to
convinced
see-
that's the best
I hate to
path
say, I agree
towards,
with the parents. Parents should be the ones regulating most things.
yes.
It comes into question when you come to the point of something that is a health threat or a serious health threat to kids. And now more and more they're proving like how easy it is for kids to get addicted to video games and how easy it is for kids to be so influenced by them. I just talked the other day about the young man, I think he was up in north of here. I think it was in Washington State, the young boy who went and got the gun and shot his younger brother, shot him dead because he interfered with his video game. And when they asked him about it, he was sitting there playing the video game. He thought that he could push a reset button and his brother would be fine.
well,
He had absolutely no remorse about killing his brother because he didn't grasp the difference between what was animated and what was reality. So, yeah,
Yeah.
where do you draw the line? I mean, especially in this day and age when we got so many doctors and everybody's saying that, no, there's no harm in that. You can't drive drunk, but by God, it's okay to smoke weed and go down the road.
Of course, some of us probably remember when our parents and grandparents were saying exactly the same thing about that evil rock and roll.
Yeah.
All those long-haired
Oh.
wild people.
And on the news today, the Seattle bus drivers now, the Seattle, well, I can't remember if she was the prosecuting attorney or somebody who said that it is safer for you to smoke fentanyl, smoke your fentanyl in public, because if you do overdose, then it's more likely that somebody will be there to help you. And the fentanyl smokers are smoking on the public bus transportation. And the bus drivers who are getting sick or nauseated by the fentanyl smoke on the buses and are complaining are being threatened with their jobs if they don't shut up and keep driving the bus.
Yeah.
Because it's secondhand smoke. That can't hurt you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I kind of lean on the side, we have a long history of government regulation, more and more and more, and nothing gets better. So
Yeah.
really, if somebody's going to do the job for some parents, they're going to let them do it.
Right.
It's really parent. I mean, I watched Bugs Bunny get shot. I don't know how many damn times. And I've seen the Roadrunner blown up thousands of times, and I never wanted to do either one of those things.
Wile E.
I mean,
Coyote, yeah. How
I
many
had
times did he die?
a stable family that kind of knew the difference.
Yeah,
And I think that's where it starts. What Commissioner Weber's getting at is that's where it starts with the family. And you keep telling the family, no, they don't have to worry about it, then they'll stop worrying about
yep.
Now, the
Just my
information,
opinion.
the recommendations, the suggestions on what to do to be aware of stuff like that going on. I think that's absolutely share the information.
it. Yeah.
Give the parents the tools to do the regulation that they're supposed to if you're gonna have kids. That's
Yeah.
easier said than done. I get it. I mean, I know, but
I think that if,
I would rather have an abundance of information than an abundance of rules and regulations.
right. However, I do believe that if TikTok is a spying device,
Mhm.
then at that point, the government should have the right to ban it
Yep.
nationwide.
Yep.
Make it go away.
National
because
security is, yep,
That's a
absolutely.
national security issue.
Look at that. Technology takes jobs. Again, they don't send them over here to spy. They just do it by
Yeah.
technology.
Don't do it in
Geez, don't
person,
you
just
hate
give
that?
them TikTok. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
All right, anything else brought to our attention? I don't see any up. Just Bailey has her
Yeah,
hand up.
Bailey didn't put her hand down.
And okay, the comments were just comments. Thank you all for participating. This meeting is adjourned.
Thanks.